John McEntee. You might remember him as one of the writers of Project 2025, of the Heritage Foundation, and also guy who's been posting viral videos and TikToks, trying to point out all the left's hypocrisies, while he just sort of spews a bunch of disinformation, like about abortion. And a journalist from Jezebel has stumbled onto how John McEntee actually might not just be visually disgusting in his political views, but actually disgusting in private. Because she spoke to an Idaho woman named Carmen Broesder, who in this picture is on the right. John McEntee's on the left there. You guys remember this guy, right? He's the guy who's like celebrated giving homeless people fake money and things like that. Her video, Carmen Broesder over there, was a reaction to John McEntee's video that about abortion, and because she herself had an abortion ban horror story that, yes, are playing out across this country. And when this journalist from Jezebel told Broesder that McEntee also was one of the founders of the conservative dating app, The Right Stuff. Do you guys remember this? Apparently, conservatives can't date one another. They can't find people. Where's all the MAGA? They're gone because you're scaring the women because you want to control their bodies. But anyway, apparently, John McEntee is also involved in the foundation of The Right Stuff. And Broser immediately thought that was suspicious, and definitely women should be careful when using that app.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
And she might be onto something because Wired magazine did a little bit more digging. And in a Tuesday report, Wired, two young women recounted to Wired that McEntee made them feel uncomfortable in inappropriate online conversations they shared with him online and through The Right Stuff. McEntee, again, writer of Project 2025, the far-right Heritage Foundation's agenda for the next Republican president to bypass Congress and impose a national abortion ban, among a laundry list of other anti-LGBTQ and dystopian goals. One unnamed 18-year-old woman told Wired she's, quote, semi-conservative and connected with McEntee on the dating app. It was very sexual from day one, she alleged. He kept making comments about my age and how hot it would be to sleep with someone who was my age. McEntee is 34 years old, and again, she's 18. According to the teen, he would say things like, I come and visit you and we hook up or whatever. You should bring one of your friends, or you should take a couple of your friends. And it was like verifying that my friends were the same age as me as well. Now, you can read that one of two ways, that she's very, very young and he's confirming how like supposedly hot it would be to be with an 18-year-old, or you could take it in a like, he's just making sure she's legal kind of way. 18 is the age of consent in many, many states. In other states, it's lower, but you know what I'm saying. Take that how you will. I'm curious, Sharon, on your thoughts. But before I kick it to you, there's more. The young woman says that their conversations tapered out after a couple weeks because it was, quote, obvious I wasn't going to fly out to California or something to see him. The more I thought about it, the more it makes me sad that he's sort of a role model, especially for young conservative men, she said. And I feel like this person isn't a great role model for these young conservative men. The other woman who spoke to Wired was also an 18-year-old college freshman when McEntee reached out to her via Instagram DM in October 2023. The woman, Grace Carter, says she has no idea how McEntee found me or why he asked her to promote The Right Stuff because, quote, the things I post are very leftist. Messages reviewed by Wired show that McEntee repeatedly messaged Carter and even offered to fly her and her girlfriend to Los Angeles. Carter told the outlet that she continued to talk to McEntee for a bit as a means of trolling. Quote, I remember I told my boyfriend about it and I was joking that he was going to be the other girl. And she said, I was like, I could use a free trip. That's initially why I kept the conversation going. That said, based on her online communications with McEntee and his tone, she, quote, would have been uncomfortable with him in person. Carter said she wanted to share her online interactions with him after seeing his viral video minimizing the violence of abortion bans earlier this month. Can someone track down the women Kamala Harris says are bleeding out in parking lots because Roe v. Wade was overturned? Don't hold your breath, McEntee said in a TikTok from The Right Stuff's account shortly after the September 10th presidential debate. The Right Stuff has 3.3 million followers on TikTok, 1.8 million on Instagram, and all of them are men. All of them are men.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she says, the video he made about abortions really upset me, and I was just like, it needs to be called out, she said. So F around and find out, Sharon. This is what happens. Like, this is incredible to me. First of all, the women who are bleeding out in their cars are now filing a lawsuit against the state of Texas. That's where you can find them. You can look up their lawsuit very easily. And it isn't just one, it is many. But it is so on brand that a guy who in public is awful and disgusting and doesn't believe women in public is leching after them, especially if they're young. And I think it's also a little sort of naively and sad and heartbreaking that this young 18-year-old was like, gee, I just wanted to meet a nice conservative boy. And he's kind of a bad role model for nice conservative boys. But what do you think?
McEntee is billed based on his looks, and I don't see the charm, but some people apparently do, as this all-American guy. He is American in the sense that he has been sick with misogyny and racism for a very long time. You are talking about a guy who posts a lot of disgusting, attacking videos, including carrying around counterfeit money that he's printed up and giving it to homeless people, to unhoused people who are begging for just a little bit of money to eat. He rather enjoys that. In fact, that was a mocking video that he made. It doesn't surprise me in the least that this is a guy who is acting scummy with young women, acting very scummy and making them feel uncomfortable. And I'll say this as I wrap it up, Fran, in Georgia, perhaps the families will follow suit of those in Texas who you said are filing the lawsuit after bleeding out in parking lots. It'll have to be the families here because those young women who should be with us are dead.
Absolutely. And those young women could be alive if we had abortion care and the right to an abortion in the state of Georgia. I mean, it's devastating, right? But that's what happens. And their deaths are seen by people like John McEntee as justified, especially the women who tried to do medication abortion, right? But sadly, when they didn't expel all of the tissue that they needed to, they needed abortion procedures, right? They needed a D&C. And so when they were denied that, they were basically told, no, we got to wait until you're almost dead. And then guess what? They died. So it's just like, it is so devastating. It's so disgusting. Abortion care is health care every way from Wednesday. And John McEntee just like, yes, it's so small. Like how small? It's so bitty. You know it's bitty, people. Look at his face. Look at that spray tan. You know it's miniature. Anyway, wither conservative women who really are just looking for a nice conservative boy. Maybe one is out there, or maybe they're all just kind of John McEntees in the waiting. And we wonder why there's such a big political gulf between young women and young men in this country.